Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay, the #1 source for competitive Legends of Runeterra news and information. If you're looking for the best decks to play right now, be sure to check us out on Twitter at Master Runeterra or in our Discord. And if you want to take the next step in leveling up your game, check out our Runeterra team on Patreon, where we do weekly learning calls and one-on-one coaching. Now strap in and grab yourself some Poro snacks, because we are about to start Mastering Runeterra.
Wow, that took a lot of work. But we're all here.
We did it.
That's all that matters.
That's all that really matters.
We have
So-
family.
What should we talk about first, guys?
All right, so this is like we finally got through the first week or so of this crazy new patch. What's everyone's favorite deck that they're on right now? That's like a great place to start.
Who's not in Diamond 4?
I'm in Diamond 4, so
I'm
yeah.
in Diamond 2? Yeah, I'm in Diamond 2. Does that count?
Oh, what a braggart.
Wait, am I the only one of you who got to Masters yet, guys?
J-
No,
Jason,
Jason
I
Frost
I think
Masters.
other Jason.
Okay.
I made it to
Jason
rank
got
2,
in
thank you.
Masters.
Okay, good.
So you're not the only one.
So maybe you two could start and then
Oh my
enlighten
God.
us with what's been working for
Mhm.
you guys.
All right, Jason, what you got?
So I raced up with like Shurima Burn, and then Finn got over the hump with Zoe Lee Sin. Shurima Burn, not a good deck, but you know, it goes fast. Lee Sin, Zoe, I thought was pretty good, and I still think is okay. I did end up like running to a bunch of lurk at one point, and that matchup seems pretty tough once your opponent knows what they're doing. And so currently I'm playing Easy Draven, which I think is pretty solid right now on the ladder. It seems like it has game against just about everything. There's not really any matchups that I'm like, oh, this is a nightmare. Like, I can't win this. So I'm pretty happy with Ezreal Draven right now. But there's so many decks out there right now. It's wild. There's lots of stuff that I want to try.
So what you're telling me is the deck that's been, mid-bottom of tier 1 for literally 3 seasons, they nerfed it twice and it really didn't matter.
They were very small nerfs for the deck. Let's be honest.
That sounds about right. That's kind of what we expected, though, right? We knew Tribe was still going to be badass. We knew Draven and Ezreal were going to do their thing. Like it's not going to change that much.
No, Rummage nerf was worse for like TF for sure. Draven Ezreal was only playing like 2 copies of Rummage, and it didn't even use it till like turn 5 usually. So 1 extra mana is like not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And I believe certain Damien 1917 hit
Just
rank
cut it.
1 again today with
Yeah.
Draven Ezreal.
Nice.
He plays Zonine Urchins, 3 of them, and no Rummage.
That's sweet.
Yeah, no, I started
love
playing that
tech.
version. I really like it. Anytime you need a good Draven Ezreal version, just copy Damien's. Like, that guy's been killing it with Draven Ezreal since I started playing the game, I think.
Yeah, I think the Draven Ezreal nerfs, like the Tribeam nerf matters like only in hands where you have like multiple Tribeams, because then you can't like chain them in the same turn, like as early on.
Mhm.
But like most, like even if you have double Tribeam, you're probably still winning the game. Like it's still a really strong hand. So yeah, it doesn't feel like it hurt too much.
That's a very good point.
It makes it feel a little bit rough because you can't do the crazy turn 7 of like 3-drop Tribeam. But like I've played the deck a bit, and you can definitely feel it, but I don't know that it drops the actual win rate that much, which is the big deal.
Yeah. What do you
That's kind of what. That's kind of what I was talking about when I looked at the Tribeam nerfs in the first place. It feels like it's not going to feel as good, but it's not going to change the actual games that much for people who are really good at the deck.
Yeah.
As far as what I've been running, I went old school. I went all the way back to Endure, because everybody's like, we got Make It Rain back, Target's nerfed, time for Swain, time for these Bilgewater decks. It's like, that's nice. What about this 2020 Overwhelm unit? How's that sound? So we went all the way back to old school to make it into Masters this time.
Apparently it's
and
working.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this weekend. I might be rocking double Endure as a lineup again. I've been having a great time with that.
Nice. I won't be able to play in any tournaments this weekend, unfortunately. I'm casting Squeeby's tournament, and then outside of that, I have like volleyball and hockey this weekend, and I can't really miss those. I mean, I can, but I don't want to.
That's fair.
I gotta get out of the house somehow.
What are you on, Mr. Majin? What's your favorite deck of the new crazy format?
So right now I'm playing a lot of Zoe Lee. I know this is shocking to everyone. Please ignore the non-made bed behind me. I really like. So my favorite deck of last season, not last season, but like before Azir Irelia, was Zoe Karma, which was already on the Gifts Eye of the Dragon package. I just love that like playstyle of just like I'm gonna get an eye, maybe I'll go all in on Zoe, but then I just do Targon things and survive until I kill you. I really like that. And Zoe Lee is now Zoe Karma, but you take out like star shapings and you put in the blades that give overwhelm, and that's like it. Like it's the same deck. So yeah, and now that Fang's got like double nerfed, Zoe Lee's definitely the place to be there. And I really like the deck. It struggles against Lurk, unless you're running the Tasty Fey Folk in the 3-drop slot. But Tasty Fey Folk's like not the greatest card, so I hate running it. But yeah, the deck feels good. It feels really solid right now.
All right, so I'm gonna jump on something you said right at the end there.
Okay.
No, I feel like this is the question we were asking last week, and most of our answer was fucked if we know yet. We haven't played with it enough yet. But Lurk, meme or dream? Like, what are we doing with this archetype? Is anyone like feeling really solid on this yet? Because I've seen people hit masters with it. I've seen people crush with it, and I've also seen them like accidentally lose the game on turn 2 to their own deck. It's a
real thing. Lurk is the real deal. But Lurk's biggest enemy is Lurk. Like, you're going to win the game or lose the game, and a lot of it doesn't have anything to do with you. And that's why I can't touch the deck. Sometimes you just attack on turn 1 and hit Rek'Sai, and you're like, I win. Like, the game's over. Yeah. And sometimes you miss Lurk on turn 1 and 2, and you have no hope. It feels bad. I will say, I get, like, irrationally upset when my opponent just natties the champs on the top on their Lurk. Like, for no reason. Like, it's, it's normal. Like, yeah, they're going to have champions on top sometimes. But I'm like, you're kidding me. They hit 2 champions. They only Lurk twice. This is bullshit. Like, I get, like, ridiculously upset about it. But I think Lurk's the real deal. You won't see me playing it, most likely. But if you don't respect it, it's going to beat you.
I've played a lot of Lurk.
And you have played a lot of Lurk?
Yeah, I played like, let's check. I played exactly 69 games on Lurk.
Oh god, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I just ended up stopping at that point because I was doing like 10 straight or something. But I don't know. It feels pretty good. I feel like I'm learning something new like almost every game, and I continue to learn like how to stop making mistakes. I feel like things like Bloodbait and Call to Pack, you have to really think about like, okay, what am I drawing next turn, and can I afford, or do I want to be drawing next turn from my deck, or do I want to redraw this card? And so like that's another like thing people I think make a lot of mistakes on. They're just rushing to Call to Pack their Rek'Sai or whatever, instead of looking through their deck for like tools like that they really need, like Bone Skewer, or digging through the deck for a new Predict or a Pike or whatever. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things to do with the deck, and I think it's very powerful for sure.
Yep, I totally agree. I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying it's a coin flip deck. When my opponents beat me, it's only luck, because that's not what I'm saying. There is definitely some like play to it, and I've seen people make some like very, very, very like smart plays with it, and I've gone like, wow, they really put me in a bad spot there, and like they really played that well. But I know I'm a League player, so like, haha, this is kind of ironic, but I hate decks that lose to themselves. And like Lurk feels like one of those decks to me. I played like one of the first times I played Lurk, I played the 1-drop, I attacked, I missed Lurk, and then they had a 2-1, and I played the 0-2 that attacked, missed Lurked, and they blocked, and I deleted the deck. I played it again later, but like, oh, that was so frustrating for me. And I get that that's like not gonna happen very often at all, but it does still feel really bad.
What about the two Jasons? Experience with against lurk?
Sure. The more I played against lurk, the better I feel about the deck. One, because I think it's getting a little bit more refined as time's been going on, but it just feels like pretty good. Like having the bone skiers, just like that little bit of interaction, just like protector units, it feels really good. And then when you just like high roll a bunch of like y'all fishes at like 8, and then your opponent just literally can't do anything about it, or you just like have 2 pikes that you hit with a spell. And of course, there's a lot of cards that like shuffle cards onto the top of your deck, like Call to the Pack, Bone Skier, that just feel like really cool with the deck. So I've been really enjoying like the playstyle of it a little bit more. There's definitely a lot more to it than simply just like playing your units out willy-nilly. Sometimes I forget, like, if I attack with a non-lurk unit, I can still lurk, and then, like, I end up not attacking, for example. So definitely, like, a lot more to think about to the deck than what kind of meets the eye. But overall, I feel like it's a little bit better as time's moving forward, and I've seen some pretty good results with it.
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what Jason said. It reminds me a lot of Irelia Azir. Remember when it first came out? Like, oh, it's only got like a 51, 52% win rate. It's because like everyone was still figuring it out. And then by the end, it was like, God, does anything beat this deck? It was so good when people really knew how to play it. And I feel like Lurk's the same. Like at first, I was just like slapping people around. And I was like, I don't know, this deck's like maybe not that good. But like people were just making a lot of mistakes. Whereas, like Bay said earlier, I've played people now where I'm like, oh, you can do that? Like, that works that way? Like, they saw that sequence? Like, holy crap. And I've gotten blown up by the deck a lot. So I think it's real. And I think it's going to be the win percentages on it are going to be getting better and better as players, like, refine the lists, as they figure out because, like, don't forget, they have to figure out how to play the deck. And then they have to figure out each individual matchup and how to play against those. And like that all takes time. So I think it's a real deck, and I think it'll like the percentages on it, win percentages on it will keep like creeping up. Where it fits in and stuff though, I have no idea. Like I don't really know what the matchup spread looks like on it, or like when it's going to be good on ladder, or what like a tournament lineup might look like with it. Because the same thing with Irelia Azir. Like week 1, there was like no Irelia Azir in the tournament lineups. And I was like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And then by the end, like we saw, it was just everywhere. So I don't know. It doesn't feel quite that dominant, but it's quite good. And paired with 2 other decks that make a lot of sense with it, I could see it having some success for sure.
Yeah, one of the nice things, at least, is if you want to counter lurk, you definitely can. I don't think it's ever going to get to the point of Irelia Azir, oops, you lose, because it does some really cool things, but they're like the biggest weakness is it feels like they almost always have to develop, right? And if you just decide to jam a couple of stun cards and Ice Veil Archers, like they have problems. They have serious problems.
Ice Veil Archer is a house in that matchup. Oh my god, it's so good.
So I really like Lurk. It feels to me, and I want to get some more playtime on this deck, but it feels to me, and this is going to sound dismissive, but coming from me, hopefully it's not. It feels a lot like Discard Aggro, in that it's a deceptively high play skill deck with ridiculous high roll potential that will often end the game in 5 or 6 turns. Sure. And I feel like it's set up a lot like that, in that what the deck is trying to do, really, is have so many different high rolls that it's really hard to miss. And that's a lot of the way that Discard Aggro played back before it, got nerfed a bunch of times.
Yeah. This is what you guys said about Azir Irelia week 1.
Yeah, I just saw that.
That's a good point. Yeah, a little bit. But I feel like by the end of like day 3, we were like, nope, this is it. Like, Azir Irelia is the nuts. We're a little past that, I think. Not super far in. Also, like, man, I feel like I'm just starting to get the hang of like what's going on, and there's so many more decks that I need to like practice. Like, I haven't practiced like the TF decks nearly enough. I don't even know what versions I like. I don't play them very well. I need to practice them so much, and then we just have all these new cards coming out.
We get a whole new set, and somewhat people in chat were asking us to talk about matchup spreads, right? Which is one of the things that we do a lot of the time, and that's really hard right now. Like, I don't even know if we could solidly give what a tier 1 is, right? Like, I think there's probably like I try to narrow down and go like 3 to 5 pillars of the metagame, build your decks out from there. Y'all know my spiel, right? I don't think I can give 5 pillars of the metagame right now. We are too wide for that, boys.
Yeah, and it changes every day. Like, Ruben upset the metagame, like, what, yesterday, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Like, hitting rank 1 with a deck no one's seen before. Also, Sivir's kind of nuts right now. But, like, yeah, it's still changing so much. And, like, Swain TF was kind of everywhere, like, a week ago. And now most of those people who were playing Swain TF, I saw switch to Gangplank TF. We're still figuring it out. And I'm still trying to figure out what the best 3-drop is in Lee Sin. Like, I can only focus on so many things at once.
Speaking of the Gangplank Swain new meta stuff, who's played the new Ruben pile? Do we have anyone in this call who's hung out with that a bunch?
I probably played 30 games of it.
I saw a hand up from Mr. Flaunt over there. What's that deck feel like? What's the matchup spread?
Yeah, so I haven't played that much. I'm probably around the same as Manja. I played about maybe 30, 40 games or something. So I honestly don't know what the matchup spread is like. The deck is really powerful, deceptively powerful. And I bet it can get even better. A lot like what we saw with Ruben Pile eventually, where people just kind of cut a bunch of the cards that he was running and kind of like streamlined it a bit. Got rid of like the victors and stuff. Like he's played a lot of cards in there that I'm like, this is a little too cute, or there's like a few too many of these. But it just does like stupid things, like giving something double strike is like wild, making it elusive and like hitting them for a bunch of damage is wild. Like the deck is unto itself. It's very like unique, and it seems like you might have to make a lot of concessions for some of the bad matchups to like be able to have game against it. I don't know. It's tough to say because I don't really know exactly what I'm doing when I'm playing the deck, and my opponents definitely don't know exactly what they're doing. And so like there's still a steep learning curve to be had. But so yeah, I think it's too early to tell just how good the deck is, but it hits goddamn hard. That much I can say.
Yeah, it's very strong, and like Jason said, I totally agree. No like offense to Ruben, the man is one of the best innovative deck builders out there and an incredibly strong player, but he puts some bad cards in his deck sometimes. Like you pointed out with the OG Ruben pile, eventually, once like you can only do so much as one person, right?
Yeah.
You bring a deck, you innovate it, it crushes, and then the masses get their hands on it, right? And then the community takes over. And then tens of thousands of games are played on this deck, and it gets refined down to like a hyper like efficient deck, and then all of a sudden it's like really good. That's what we saw with Zoe Vi, and I imagine we'll see something like it with this as well. That was the first deck I thought of when I saw the new champ reveal, by the way, Action. Because Zed is probably one of the worst cards in the deck in my opinion. Like he can be very powerful, and like when your opponent plays Zed, you're like, oh no. But like when you play Zed, you're like, man, I really hope I don't have to spend 3 cards keeping him alive, and then he just doesn't do anything anyway. Yeah. So
can we just like take a minute and realize that they made an action hero named Action?
Is
that
yeah. Was I alone? I thought it was Ashkin or something like that. Like
is it
Ashcan.
not?
I thought it was pronounced Ashcan.
No,
it's
not like
AKS. It's Action. Yeah.
They named their swashbuckling Han Solo fighting against the dark forces of the world Action.
Yep.
That's what just happened.
What Oatmeal thinks it's pronounced auction, or auction or something, which I would believe.
Auction.
Yeah, auction. Just different words. But yeah, I think he might be a pretty solid inclusion in that deck, because he comes out a turn earlier than Zed, and it's just a little more flexible. You know what I mean? Like you can play him, and you can even decide if you even like care if he lives or dies. Whereas Zed, if you're playing him, you're kind of committing to him a bit, unless you like also have like Sivir and stuff. He's not nearly as flexible as a card. You have to save like a bunch of spell mana just to play him. So yeah, I think he'll fit in there very well. Getting back to the original topic, yes, I think the deck is good. I believe we'll see more of it.
I think auction's a nice, like, really interesting direction to go next, though, because that's been a really cool reveal, and I think there's so many different directions to go with that. And especially once you put auction and Sivir together, like, the big question is what you're splashing and whether you're splashing.
Yeah.
Right? Because honestly, we might finally see Sundisk C play just because it lets you play a 39 card deck, which is hilarious.
Nah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. No.
I think it makes sense. You just spin the deck and get more cards you want.
Yeah, if I'm
Think of that
gonna run
card,
Mono
man.
Shurima, I always put Sundisk in it, bae.
I mean, that makes sense, but like, why run Mono Shurima when you could have twin disciplines?
Because then you get to have 7/5 Sivir, which is a good time.
But you get Deny, you get Palm, you get Flurry. Like, it's I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Have I discussed?
Flurry's pretty good.
Have I discussed TF
Young
Sivir
Witch.
yet? NA1 plays it. Have you guys played TF Sivir? I played one match when someone picked
Yes,
a deck,
Sivir.
and I stomped the guy, and then never played the deck again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I've
so.
never seen that.
I've lost a couple of games to that. There's a guy in my chat a bunch, Chekhov or something. I think it's Dr. Chekhov,
Dr. Chekhov, yeah.
who's been stumping that deck, and it seems really sweet. Like,
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm just kind of running out of gas right before I kill people with it, which has kind of sent me away from the deck a little. But like, the concept has always seemed really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm gonna pull it up if I still have it. Because it's like, someone originally asked me about it. They were like, "Hey, what do you think of TF?" I don't have it anymore. They're like, "What do you think of TF Sivir?" And I'm like, "That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life." You know, like these things aren't synergistic at all. And then I played it, and yeah, like, you know, you level Sivir so fast. Like, so fast. You keg TF red card or whatever, or make it rain, and like, you're just getting it. And the Shurima cards have all of a sudden become just like the best cards in the game.
What is this all of a sudden? I remember when it came out, I was talking about how Ruin Runner was the most busted thing ever printed.
That's
Don't
not
give me
what I'm
this all
talking
of a
about.
sudden.
I'm talking about Merciless Hunter, the new one
Also
drop.
the most busted thing ever printed.
Yeah, no,
Cool.
Merciless Hunter's insane, and we knew that. But the new one drop is so good. And then like
That's
Rock
true.
Hopper, also incredibly powerful, especially in combination with Shapestone. And so like, Shurima's just like occupying that same like thing that Targon did when it came out, where like all its cards were just like better than yours. They're just like more efficient than you, right? They have more stats, they draw more cards, they do whatever. And so yeah, Shurima's kind of in that spot right now, I feel like.
I feel like specifically the Sivir package, like I
Sivir
swear there's like
package,
four or five decks that are just like Merciless Hunter, Sivir, Rune Runner, Treasure Hunter, and Rock Hopper.
And Rock Hopper, yep.
And there's like four of them, and you just keep running into like different versions of essentially the same deck.
But it works.
It works. I mean, it works.
I've gotten to the point on Treasure Seeker at this point that I'm pretty sure it's a 3-of in Nasus Thresh. Like, that card is
so good.
so busted.
It's so good.
Like,
probably
yeah.
replaces Dunekeeper, right?
Yeah, and maybe even Basai Reaper. I know I'm crazy, but I've never liked Basai
Ooh.
Reaper that much in that deck anyway.
Me neither.
But
I did against Azir Irelia. That was like the
okay,
card.
yes, I
Yeah.
mean, yes, you need it there. But
Mhm.
like at this
Other than
point,
that-
you should probably, yeah. And anyway, what I'm saying is, it's a good card. You could even theoretically put this in a straight control deck, and this is gonna like going off the reservation a little bit, but what you realize about this card is it's a 1-mana 2/1, which means it favorably trades on turn 1 into aggro, which you
Mhm.
sometimes need a lot, and it gives you a 2-mana stun. You actually just get 2 mana stun your opponent's board. Like, if you're playing against an aggro or a mid-range deck, they develop something and you make a 5/2 ephemeral, the fuck are they doing that turn?
Yep. Yeah, that happened to me with the Zed Sivir deck a lot. They'd just be like, okay, this is a pretty scary board. I'm going to cast this 5/2 now. And then they're like, well, okay, I guess I pass. You know, like,
Yeah.
it's so, especially when you go like Treasure Seeker, Rock Hopper, and then, or like Treasure Seeker pass into Merciless Hunter, and then you just have this 5/2. You just send after whatever. It's like so powerful. For a 1-mana 2/1, that's a good stat line. It's like already a decent card.
It's pretty nuts to the point where I kind of want to figure out how to make Treasure Hunter work in an actual control deck. We haven't really seen that yet. Like, the closest is when it gets into Thresh Nasus, but if there is a control deck out there with Shurima in it, then it's because of Treasure Hunter.
Sure. I mean, there was like the zillion like Zoe-esque decks of last season that were kind of like popping around. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Where essentially just played the super strong Shurima cards and then like Zoe and stuff. Treasure Hunter would fit very well in there. It's efficient, it blocks well, and then the deck utilized Vulnerable very well, and an Ephemeral 5/2 would really help there.
I imagine this is not as good now with the fangs and everything being
I
nerfed,
definitely agree.
but
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Serpent. Go on, but never forgotten.
R.I.P. I miss you so much. Please come back to me. Have you cast Serpent recently? It sucks.
Yeah, I honestly
Mm.
don't think you can really be a Targon control deck right now. Like I played a bunch of Zoe Vi and even this weird new like Leona Sol thing I've been fucking around with just specifically to target Lurk. And you can make it work because Star Shaping is still a busted card.
Yep.
But everything else in the deck is bad. Like, you're playing 3 good cards and the rest of your deck sucks.
Yeah, it's rough. I've also been trying very hard to make Leona work this season because I think it's like so close. It's like so close. But yeah, all the Targon stuff getting hit is like really brutal for that deck.
But also an important thing to note is Make It Rain coming back is huge, right?
Mhm.
The fact that Make It Rain is around, like, it suddenly matters that a bunch of things have 1 hit point where it really didn't before. Like, Go Hard was gone, Make It Rain was gone. The only thing that cared about it was Static Shock, and you could play around that pretty easily.
Also, it was 4 mana. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's 4 mana hit 2 things.
I care. It was scary.
That's true. It kills my Zoe. It's so sad. But yeah, and Targon would just have a bunch of like X1 and X2s, and now they go Keg, Make It Rain, or TF, and you're like, my whole board's gone. Like, damn it.
yeah.
And
that's a big reason that the Swain decks are coming back, and we saw those kind of dominating tournament metagame last weekend. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see. Honestly, I think even with just a week behind it and like the new big push that Ruben kind of gave the metagame, it's gonna be really interesting to see what people show up with. I'm super looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting. Man, because we are in, for those of you who don't know, our Mastering Runeterra Pro team is in the Brazil league, the team-based league. And man, we're like, okay, well, we have to play now. Who's got a lineup? And everyone's like, so we just like picked decks. We were just like, I think I could play this deck. And
I had a lineup. I just got hard countered. I got destroyed.
Yep. They knew what we were coming with and they were prepared. But you see, this was pointed out yesterday. Seasonals is 5 weeks away.
Oh
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
We have no
it's
time.
crazy.
That's
And
insane.
and we get all these
It's
new
crazy.
cards in a week.
We get all the new cards in a
Also
week.
crazy.
There's gonna be a patch like a week or 2 after that, and then we're gonna play seasonals on that patch. Like, this is gonna be the seasonals if no one has a fucking idea what's going on, and I love that.
It
That
is
the
exciting.
best.
It's exciting and anxiety-inducing in the same time.
I already hated it.
Yeah.
I assume the patch will be light. If
Yeah.
the meta keeps like it
Mhm.
is, and it's like, things are pretty balanced, nothing's out of whack, then they just let it keep rolling.
I totally agree.
Really it'll only
Yeah.
be
I just expect like a Shurima nerf.
did you just say Tryndamere nerf?
Gotta keep him down.
His camera froze.
Shurima.
Okay.
There he's back.
Shurima nerf.
Shurima. Yeah, Shurima. nerf.
Shurima, okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
I still think
Shouldn't have
Turbo
been
Thralls is going to be like one of the best tournament decks. Like, not close. That
Oh,
deck is
man,
so good into so many things.
I tried playing that deck on ladder today. It just feels bad to play. Like, every once in a while, you just, like, accidentally win the game on turn 5 to 7, and then sometimes your deck just doesn't do things.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with a hand of Avalanches and, like, Preservationists and this random-ass 8-drop. I'm like, what? What am I doing with my life?
Yeah, I don't enjoy playing it either.
Hey, riddle me this. What do you guys think? Where does Irelia Azir land now?
At the fucking top. People
It's
just
great.
got bored of playing it.
Yeah.
It's still
Yeah,
very
right.
strong. It's
That's,
definitely
that's what I thought.
it's
very
not tier 0 anymore. But it's still quite strong. Like, I'm beating it with like Lee, which shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But I think mostly that's because people are playing field musicians, which is like You're like, okay, it's turn 4. I'm very scared. And then they played Field Musicians. You're like, thank God. You know?
They did nothing.
Like, thank you so
Field
much for this
Musicians
free
has
turn.
won me games.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good one of into like mid-rangey and control-y matchups where you kind of need to grind a little bit more than you used to, but Defiant Dance is busted. The nerfs definitely hit it, but it's not like they can't still kill you on turn 5, 6, 7.
They definitely can.
You know?
And they will.
I'm sorry. Apologies to everyone. I was playing this deck on ladder a little bit just because I wanted to figure out what it was and how to play against the new version. I know, I've become the bad guy. It's terrible.
Fine.
But there was a game, like, we thought Pike was going to be, like, the thing that kept this deck down out of Lurk, right? The guy just plays a Pike spell, I just bounce the Pike. Plays again, I bounce the Pike, and he's dead. Like, it didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Until he gets big enough to, like, kill the Azir, but, like, the deck's so good at protecting Azir.
He never even got a strike off. Like, the spell struck, and then nothing else happened.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The deck's running like 5 recalls.
If we're going back to what decks have been working out,
Go ahead.
like Azir Irelia is probably like the only deck played that has been remotely successful, which is a little bit awkward, at least for me, because I don't know how much longer I want to play the deck, and I still don't know what's kind of working out for me, which is also kind of weird. But Azir Irelia, just the one true and dear thing that's still working.
And that deck being good and people wanting to play it both on ladder and in tournaments is, I feel, a little bit of what's driving the metagame, right? Because Pirates does really well into that. We saw, I think it was on SCA or EU, like First to Master was on full-on Scouts after the MF unnerf, right? And that deck, especially with the Stony Keeper, was doing really well into Azir Irelia. So we get the like continuous cycle. Because this deck is still good, it's not tier 0 anymore, it's just high tier 1. And so we get those traditional tier 2 decks that prey on it again. It's to the point where you can make lineups that beat it, where you really couldn't, which is a big deal.
Because before you couldn't do that because it would still just beat you. Like it was on TF Fizz levels of, it's nice that you're trying to counter me, I'm just going to kill you on turn 5 anyway. You. Yeah.
And with the nerfs to both champions, it's still stupid powerful, but it's kind of been brought into line with something that we can target now, which is really good. Like, props.
I don't think I'd put it high tier 1, but I don't have much experience with it this patch. I'd probably put it low tier 1, top tier 2, but I think I need to see more of what like happens with the meta, right? Because the tiers are not in a vacuum. It's like how if Azir Irelia is the best deck, then TLC is not tier 1 no matter how good it is, right?
Sure.
So like, since I don't know exactly what everything's gonna be, I can't accurately place anything, but my gut right now is saying low tier 1, top tier 2.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were talking about at the beginning, right? Where we don't know really really define the very top right now. We saw the resurgent of freaking Karma Ezreal for a while. Like, we got everything.
Yeah, that took me 5 games to realize that, like, no matter how refined this deck list gets, it's just not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, because like it only takes 1 game of like you not drawing the things you need to go, oh yeah, like this sucks, because you're not like a control deck. You can't you don't have like these value engines, and you're not going to out card advantage your opponent very often. You can, right? But that's not what the deck's built to do. And so if you don't draw your karmas or whatever, and you don't find Ezreal maybe, or like they answer one of them, you're just sitting there like killing things, stunning things, bouncing things, and all of a sudden like every deck has card advantage now. So they're just going to drown you. Even like these aggro decks are just beating me in card advantage because they go like, oh, Zap Sprayfin, and I'm like, oh. And then they go, oh, the Nab guy, and I'm like, you know, and I can't keep up. Because I'm just like, okay, is this my combo piece? Nope. Okay, got a stun for another turn. Is this my combo piece? Nope. All right, I'm going to bounce that to their hand then. Is this my combo piece? Nope. All right, they're 4 cards ahead now. And yeah, so
Yeah, every time you have to point get excited at a creature, your heart breaks a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it does suck. I do love the deck though. It is so fun to play. It is
I
so
mean, it
fun.
has Karma in it. We knew that.
Yeah. Karma's fun.
She's so fun.
Also, there's nothing more fun than.
Wanted to bring
what?
it yesterday.
Oh, I just love filling the stack with burn, and then they can't do anything.
And then they can't
That's my
respond.
favorite
Good
thing in the world.
Good
Yeah.
time.
It's just 10 spells.
Yep,
It's great.
Mhm.
that's a good time.
Speaking of,
oh, go ahead.
Speaking of like stack filling things, other cool new cards that we saw from the upcoming expansion. What do you guys think about new Baby Rex? Like,
I have to read it again.
okay. I've been trying to figure out if this card is absolutely busted or totally useless, and it feels like it's
I can think
probably
of
one of
some-
the two.
Yeah. It's hard to say. I don't know. Like it's only coming with a 3/3 body, so like it feels like you have to have like a lot of cannons off of it. But to do that, you have to have drawn a lot of cards, which is like means you take it the tempo loss. So it's kind of like keep catching you up for drawing cards, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say where it will land because I don't really I can't really visualize what deck it will hit. Like maybe something like Go Hard or like an all-in TF deck, but I don't really know.
Yeah, just some kind of like crazy TF Burblefish deck, right? Like, I mean, we nerfed that deck 7 times, so that doesn't mean it's not still good.
Yeah.
A slot bot deck.
Okay, Slotbot I still think is like waiting in the wings to be pretty good. The card is like kind of solid. The
I forgot that got buffed.
Yeah, exactly. Like, cause that card, the reason that card sucked, I mean, besides, other reasons, but the reason that card sucked, like the big thing was that it just didn't do anything when you play it. You had to like play it and then draw a bunch of cards that turn, to get like a bunch of stats for next turn, and that's a lot. But if you like do it the turn before, and then now all of a sudden you play it and you have all your mana, like that opens up a lot of new options for you.
And the question is, and I played against a couple people who were trying Slotbot, and it didn't seem to work out that well.
Mhm.
But the question is, can you get enough of an efficient tempo deck where just a big stat stick is going to be a good thing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because the way our game is set up, right, the way Runeterra as a whole works, giant stat stick doesn't mean that much if you don't put any keywords on it or if you can't run Atrocity. And
sure.
you often need both. You often need to have both of those things
Mhm.
for it to matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because otherwise you're getting blocked by Eye of the Dragon for 18 turns.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like Eclipse Dragon. Like Eclipse Dragon is a good card, but like unless I'm following it up with Asol, I was like never happy to play that on turn 7 because like big stats just didn't do anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
At the end of the meta, like even when Targon was busted, y'all saw I took Eclipse Dragon out of all my decks.
Yeah.
Like it just wasn't even there enough. Even as this like giant 7/7 that draws 2 cards. That should be good. It's just not.
Keywords. They're a big deal. They're
Yeah.
a really big deal.
And that's kind of why like I love the idea of Slotbot, but I feel like for it to be good, it would need a very specific type of deck that was trying to do tempo and card draw at the same time. And if that type of deck is good, it's busted, and it doesn't need Slotbot.
It's TF Fizz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like if you're trying to play Slotbot, you're fighting over Sump Dredger. Like you're fighting against like Sump
Yeah.
Dredger and stuff, right? Like there's some really good cards in that slot.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well, Bilgewater doesn't have great 3-drops itself. Like
That's true.
I don't know. Like Bilgewater doesn't have very many good 3-drops. So like if you wanted to play like an Allegiance Bilgewater, which I don't understand why you would, you might want to consider putting Slotbot in. But other than that, I can't really see it.
Are you telling me there isn't some, important joy in just playing your opponent's deck instead of yours? That's why you play Allegiance Bilgewater. I don't want to play my cards. I'll play theirs. It'll be fine.
That card's still pretty good. I got beat by it
Did
the
you
other
see
day.
Mogwai's newest video?
Did you see what?
Jason?
You've broken up there a bit.
Oh.
Didn't you see Mogwai's
no.
newest
Yeah.
video?
No.
Can you guys not hear me?
We can
What was
we
he
can hear
playing
you
now,
again.
yeah. I did not
Well,
see
well-
Mogwai's newest video.
Wait, no what? Okay.
What was Mogwai playing?
Jason?
Oh, it was just Bilgewater Allegiance
Okay,
with Sejuani.
okay.
I didn't know
I
you were asking a
actually,
question there.
so I haven't played this deck in a while,
Mhm.
and I never had the guts to bring it to a tournament. But from Plat to Diamond, I was playing Misfortune Sejuani with Battle Fury and the list. So Sejuani Bilgewater has always kind of been a thing, and it's always like hovered around tier 2 and thought about it and not quite been there. But that deck definitely feels like it gets slept on a little bit.
Didn't that deck end up getting like a bunch of nerfs? Like the
It got,
like before I started really playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Way
it got
back
like
when.
5 nerfs, and then some guy like got into seasonal top 32 with it anyway. Like it was like B or something.
I mean, B, to be fair, like, I don't know if that guy can play normal decks.
Yeah. I'd love to see it. He would demolish us all.
Yeah, it just decides to pick up, like, actual decks and just beats everyone. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I do remember seeing that deck, and I was like, this seems like a very powerful strategy. And, yeah, Fury used to be, like, what, +4/+4 or something?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
pretty good. And then Make It Rain was 2. Yeah.
I mean, we got Make It Rain back. That's a start, right?
Make It Rain's back. I actually really like playing the
Yeah.
2-mana
Pilfer
Nap guy right now.
2 mana, right?
Yeah, 2-mana Nap guy
I love
is
that guy.
sweet.
He's super good. Now that he's
So-
a 2/2, it's, like, really strong.
Mhm.
Honestly, I've been, and again, this is another bit of a hot take moment, and it's probably wrong. I've been trying to figure out how to put him in Pirates. Like,
Okay.
it's just that little bit of extra card advantage and push that feels like it could be really good.
I don't love it because you already have a full set of 2-drops you can't play on turn 2 unless you have like
Mhm.
the 3/2, right? You can't play Demolitionist on 2 unless you have one of your X2s, which I guess you have like 2 sets of. But I don't want to introduce another set of 2-drops that I can't play on 2. Basically, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I guess the slot I would put it in is I've been trying out Arachnoid Sentry in that deck. But
That card's
that's
really good right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Stuns in general are kind of cracked at the moment,
Arachnoid's sweet.
which is why
But-
I
but-
want to make
Overall,
Leona
it's
work so bad.
Right?
So bad.
Man, I've been messing around with Leona Sol Freljord, and I want it to work, and it feels like it's almost there, and I can't quite get it.
I was doing. I'm gonna try out some Leona Soul Demacia
Mm.
for the
Okay.
Sharpside Singles Concerted package. Because like I was playing Leona Demacia and it felt like it just ran out of gas a bit.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah, it's literally just Leona Acel. But like, yeah, it felt like it ran out of gas a little bit, so I was just gonna put a little bit more top end in there. Though bounce spells against that deck are so good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I hear Will of Ionia might be a card. Like,
yeah,
they might have let that one come back a little.
yeah, it's a good card. It's not anywhere near as good as people thought it was gonna be. Like, it's very good, but it's not like destroy the format good. Like, I play more Palms than I play Wills now, and that's like such an easy choice for me at the moment. I think Palms just like in such a better spot. Especially if you're like all in on the Eye of the Dragon package, which pretty much
yeah.
all the decks that are playing Will are, right?
Yeah.
Will's nice and everything, but like willing a Rek'Sai, they're just gonna play it again. And then like Palm's so good because it just gives you an extra blocker. That blocker's fearsome. Like, yeah, I just really like Palm right now. Is what I'm saying. Not that Will's not good because it's very good at 4 mana, but it's not like destroying the format.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't talk about the new like bounce a guy blade dance card.
Fine, whatever.
That's like
yeah, we
It's-
mentioned that
Yeah.
earlier. It's quite
It's
good.
absolutely nuts in Azir Irelia and unplayable everywhere else. That's,
Yeah.
That's what that card is.
well, like why did they need another one? We have so many cards that do that already.
Well, they
It's
probably
like,
didn't
just
know
got
if the deck
another
was going to be
variant.
like. Remember that this expansion was supposed to be released in one. So it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like. So it was just another Blade Dance card, right? Just another card
Yeah.
for the archetype. But yeah, the card's really good. I still kind of prefer Homecoming, but I understand that the deck plays a split now,
Yeah.
which I like.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's called
Yeah,
like
both.
3 Defiant to Homecoming.
I
They're
could
both
definitely
lists
get
right
on
now.
board with that.
But like I don't know. I feel like Defiant's so good, and I think like I think the matchup
Mhm.
like is rarely played anymore. But like versus Nasus Thresh, like I don't think Nasus Thresh is winning anymore because of
No,
Defiant Dance.
5 bounce spells.
Yeah.
There's no way. because the matchup often come down to like, one, did I draw a Reaper on one? Two,
Yeah, that's true.
Two, do I have like the Thresh or whatever? And then three, do they have Homecoming? These are like the checks of the matchup. And now they have 5 Homecomings, and Reaper's not even really a good card anymore.
Your big threats in that matchup with dropping either Thresh or Nasus just to completely hard stall them, or just killing them with Reaper, just don't happen anymore most of the time. And that's part of why I think Nasus Thresh has fallen off a little bit, because part of the reason it was so good was because it was, on its own, a pretty powerful linear deck, but it was good because it was really good against Azir Irelia, right? And Azir Irelia is both less powerful because the other aggro decks can come along and do a lot better against it because it got tuned down, and it's better against Thresh Nasus. So the two things that made Thresh Nasus good, everyone was playing Azir Irelia and you were good against it, have both gone away, and the deck got kind of a small nerf along the way too. That's kind of why we've seen it fall off a lot, I think.
I think the Curse Keeper nerf was like really significant, and the Dune Keeper nerf. They're like small nerfs, but like the way it impacts a game is like a really big deal. Because all of a sudden I could just block everything. Like, whereas the super fast starts were so rough because like Reaper into Curse Keeper into Butcher were like unblockable starts. The only thing you could profitably block with most decks was the 3/2 Butcher on turn 2, right? But now I just block the 4/2, and I don't have to worry about it.
That's true.
Yeah, and then they lose the Dune Keeper, which is like a super strong card. You can still play it, but like the fact that it doesn't attack into things anymore makes it a lot less good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess before, if they do their big 1/2 or their big 1/2/3, I guess, then basically if you had any kind of normal start, you were in trouble. But now if you have any 1-drop into any 2-drop, they're basically just done.
You're fine.
Like,
and Jason Florent played the deck probably more than any of us like combined last season, and he was always talking about how important it is to do that like 1/2, 1/2/3, and then now it's not there anymore. Like you said, any normal start now just contends with it, whereas it didn't before.
Yeah.
And that it feels like that means it has to, if this deck wants to keep being good, it has to transition to a much more mid-rangey, more control-y version of the deck, which is what I've been experimenting with a bunch.
Yeah. Then that's why you're playing Endure.
I mean, yes. Endure, I've said this a bunch, and nobody ever believes me. This is another one where y'all are gonna go, Jordan's crazy, he's talking nonsense again. Endure's a control deck, y'all. Okay? There are some aggro draws, but They Who Endure is a control deck. You play it by just trading off the board for 7 turns and then winning the game. That sounds like a control deck to me. Yeah.
I mean, the decks I play have never historically ever had a problem with Endure because I play like Targon.
You play Targon and Ionia all the time.
Yeah, I play like the 2 regions that just don't care. So like anytime he talks about Endure, I'm like, yeah, buddy, okay.
Oh my god. Look. And all of the regions you don't play, like
I did like I was just like browsing the.
I don't know. One of you go.
Jason, I'm yelling all the time.
You can finish. You want to snap back at Majin? Go ahead.
All of the regions you don't play, like.
I was just browsing through the leaderboards like earlier.
One of you is delayed. I think it's Jason.
It's Jason. Jason's on like a 30-second lag.
Why are you so lagging?
Oh, my fault. What the heck?
Hold on, I'm gonna try to refresh.
Finish up.
Internet be tricky like that.
Okay. Whatever. All of the regions that this fool doesn't play, which is everything except Target and Ionia, Endure does great against. That's all I was gonna say. You're up.
I was just gonna finish up saying that I was just browsing through the leaderboards today, and I just clicking like what people are playing, and I come across Damien. Although he was playing Draven Ezreal, his list was actually for like Zillianasis. Which is like a deck I know What Am I has played a decent amount. And, the deck's on like 1 Ruination, 2 Vengeance, 3 Whales, things like that. There's a lot of aggro decks in the meta. I Ruinate and I gain like 8 Slays, for example. And I like the direction of that deck quite a bit. I've been playing that a little bit today, albeit not that much, but it feels pretty nice. I don't know about like the zillion shenanigans type of stuff, but the overall concept just being a little bit slower, I feel like is a lot better in this particular meta. Just being able to like really like hit down hard on aggro decks feels pretty good.
Yeah, Zillion is just a good card. And people get super down on him because they expect him to be a champion. But as soon as you stop caring about Zillion being a champion, he's actually just a good card. Like, it's a 2-mana 1/4. It blocks everything. You get a predict, so you set up your next turn, and you have time bombs in your deck, which are just accidental red cards. Like, what's not to like about that?
I don't like Zillion very much.
I love Zillion. He's great.
I like Zillion, but
Thank
like,
you.
the problem, like the Echo Zillion decks, they don't do anything.
I did say Echo Zillion. I did not say Echo Zillion.
Well, what I'm saying, I don't like Zillion because the main deck that like he goes into is like Echo Zillion, and I just want to play like I love the predict on Zillion, and the time bombs are really nice, but like you need something to do in the game, so like I'd much rather play like Vise, like Echo Vi or something, with like the predict package.
So, real talk, Echo Zillion is a good deck that runs out of steam and doesn't do what it needs to do. The new expansion is bringing a card called Thrumming Swarm that everyone is sleeping on and is going to make Echo Zillion a good deck. Heard it here first.
I don't get it. Why?
Because it's Ladros.
Does he bring it
because
back?
it's a solid
Summons too.
it's a solid tempo deck that now gets to play a 7-mana Ladros.
Yeah. Is it exact copy? Because like if it gets hit by a Xenotype, it would be insane.
What can you explain what the card does again?
Ridiculous.
It's a summon.
It's a 7-mana. I think it's a 7-mana 8/4.
And it's a summon,
Overwhelm.
right?
Yes,
If you like
summon.
bring it
It's
back
on
with
summon.
Chrono Break.
It's a 7-mana 8/4 Overwhelm for Shurima, which sounds totally fucking terrible. That says if you've leveled a champion when you play me, make an exact copy of me in your hand.
Ooh.
And what that means is this deck that levels its champions pretty well, predicts and draws cards really well, and controls the early and mid game pretty well, and is looking for a win condition, gets to play 2 of these, and now has all of the gas it wants for the entire rest of the game.
Yeah,
Sure, it is very mana intensive.
it's true.
7 mana 8/4 gets answered pretty easily, and then you have to commit your entire next turn to play another one.
You don't have to, and also the entire rest of the deck isn't
I guess-
mana intensive, and that's why
That's true.
it's powerful, right? If I'm playing Hexite crystals, I can afford to spend 7 mana on shit.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I love Echo Zillion. I've been playing a lot of it, and I just feel like it needs that way to finish games. And like Thrumming Storm could be really good if you hit a Xenotype on it. Like it's a phenomenal card. It's an 11/7 Overwhelm, which is just bonkers. You don't have to put that many copies in your deck because you're predicting like almost every card you're drawing. So like I feel like it will be pretty strong. And yeah, I've already been liking the deck before that, so I'm excited to see what happens when it comes out.
It is a play style that I really enjoy.
I had gotten to the point in that deck, like I played this deck a bunch because I really wanted it to be good. I got to the point where I was playing 3 Get Exciteds just to try to find ways to end the game. So I think if Thrumming Swarm is what I think it is, which is a big if because I've been wrong about the shit before, I would not be surprised if Echo Zillion gets to be high tier 2 or even tier 1. And I realize this is a big claim, but I expect that to be really powerful.
No, I agree with you. I'm playing Glorious Evolution as my top end.
Oh, God.
finisher.
You feel my pain, brother. You know
I
what I'm
know.
going through.
The deck just lacks a win condition. Like here he's cool and everything, but like he didn't do
it's
very
not.
much.
It's not. It's so sad. It's not even cool.
Nope.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
I play him as like a 16,
BBG
16.
was just playing Rune Runner,
He just gets blocked.
and
Go ahead. Rune Runner.
I mean, like, I feel like it's a cool concept, but like BBG was playing Rune Runners, and that's sort of like the same thing, similarly, I guess. And he like hit a double researcher onto the Rune Runner, and then it comes down 2 turns earlier. But I think like you still need like the chrono break, right? That's like what kind of like really seals the deal. Like you just swing and then you chrono break, and then like how do I block this board down? And then if I don't, you just get rallied anyway. But like without the chrono break, I feel like it's, regardless of the strategy, late game strategy, it's like a little bit off.
Chrono Break is stupid powerful, and I think that for the deck to be good, it needs to be able to win without Chrono Break, and that's part of what this new card will help us do, right? It's like, if you can't win without Lee, stop playing Lee. If you can't win without drawing your Chrono Break, you probably can't play this deck at a high level.
The new, a little bit of a tangent. The new Lee, by the way, the new version of Lee, like literally can't win. If you don't have Zoe or Lee, you literally cannot win the game.
I mean,
which I
that's
hate,
why I've been looking
but-
at Karma Lee. That's
Yeah.
why I've been looking into Karma Lee a
Yeah.
lot.
Yep.
Karma Lee looks like it might be sweet. M-Tuck was doing
It
that
is.
a lot with me too.
I really enjoy it too. The problem is like the whole Fangs left is pretty large. That card did a lot for that deck, for the Karma decks.
Play Tasty Fae Folk, you'll be fine.
It's so bad though.
Yeah.
I like Karma Lee. I like Karma Lee a lot because I can drop the Zenith Blades. And just play like 3 of the Twin Disciplines. Because I don't actually like Zenith Blade, but it serves like a purpose. And Twin Disciplines with Karma, you know, because you have Sonic Waves, Twin Disciplines, and Gifts. Like it's so easy to find a kill with Lee with Karma on the board.
Mhm.
But yeah, the deck's just kind of slow right now, and like without Fangs to kind of catch you up, it's tough to keep in the game against these more aggressive decks.
Yeah. I guess the reason that I like the Karma version better is because it feels more like you're playing a control deck that has a couple of different win conditions, and also Lee is just a solid mid-game card,
Yeah.
as opposed to if I play this Lee and it dies, oops, I lost the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Karma Lee, like, I mean, I'm assuming most people have not played Karma Lee, so I think it's probably good to like maybe explain this a bit. Karma Lee is not like an all-in combo deck. It plays Lee more as a removal spell in a deck that shouldn't have it. You know, you can kill like 2 or 3 things, and then your opponent has to commit resources to deal with Lee, because you don't. When you flip Karma, you don't need a Lee to like OTK them. You just cast Gifts into Infernum and they're dead. Like your Karma is going to get real big, especially if you're playing Twin Disciplines or Sonic Wave. So you don't really need, like, you only need one or the other. You don't need both, and you definitely don't need them together. So it gives you a much stronger late game. You get to play things like Star Shaping. You get to play the Karma, which is super fun. But yeah, without Fangs, like Fangs did so much, and Tasty Fae Folk is such a bad card.
It's a little rough. I feel that.
Mm-hmm. But when we find a good version,
we're
when we
working
find
on
it, we're gonna be on it.
working on
Yeah.
All right. I think with that, I'm gonna tap out for the day. It's been awesome, y'all.
See you later, man. Do we have anything else we want
Later, brother.
to cover real quick?
Peace out, man.
I don't.
Don't think so.
No. Henneke,
Mm.
thank you for joining
No,
us for
I
your
think
first
I'm good.
time on the
Someone
Runeterra
help
show.
me get a Masters, please.
Welcome.
Masters before the
Oh
update.
yeah, this is cool. This is fun.
Masters before the update. I gotta get to Masters too. I say that I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna try hard, and then yesterday I was playing the
Yeah.
pre-con decks in ranked. They're like, why are you playing this? Someone was like, hey, should I craft this deck? It looks pretty fun. And I was like, no. It's like, whatever you do, don't craft this deck. They're like, is this like new meta? I'm like, nope. No, it's really bad. Please don't play it. Stupid chat, always making me play bad things. But yeah, that's all I got for today.
All right. You too.
Good luck this weekend, guys.
You guys take
Peace out,
care.
then.
See you
I'll
next
see you
week.
guys later.
Yeah. See you guys.
Thank you so much for listening to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay. New episodes come out every Friday. If you haven't done so already, be sure to join us on Discord, check out the Patreon team, and have a look at our deck database on Twitter at Master Runeterra. Links to all of these can be found in the show notes and description.